Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Crit Hit Reviews with your host, Arlyeon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about Cockroach Incorporated's episodic point-and-click horror adventure, The Dream Machine. Find out whether I thought this game was a real snooze or a genuinely challenging slice of nightmare fuel. When you're moving into a new apartment, the last thing you normally have to consider is the possibility that someone might be spying on you or into your dreams. That said, it's not long before Victor Neff discovers that there's something well and truly amiss at his new home, which transcends the boundary between the waking world and the unconscious. Overall, there is a bit more I'd like to cover in regards to my quick summary of the game, but at the same time, I desperately want to avoid giving away things that delve too deep into spoiler territory, because when I played the game, I found myself enjoying the gradual unfurling of its narrative a fair bit. Pacing-wise, things do occasionally slow down, but that was mostly when I got absolutely mired on a puzzle, as I otherwise found it quite solid. Overall, I'd say it managed to do a good job of building up and maintaining a sense of tension, something that it managed to balance out with a fair bit of humor spread across its script in both the situations you encounter as well as the character dialogue, even if it borders on black humor much of the time, which helped to balance things out. Well, at least until the story neared its conclusion, as whilst there's still comedic beats to be found, I rapidly found the overarching plot and events surrounding it just begin to dive into altogether uncomfortable and at times jarringly nightmarish territory. I'll also admit that since the subject of dreams does play central to the story, there are times where things end up eschewing more logical proceedings in favor of more peculiar developments. Whilst it ultimately makes sense in the framework of the story, things do get weird. And that carries over to the bits and bolts of the game as well. To be sure, the Dream Machine does play out akin to a traditional point-and-click adventure, with such time-honored tropes as clicking to pick up items, and dragging items together on top of things either in inventory or outwards to solve puzzles. But the solutions to some of the puzzles you encounter sometimes lean a bit more towards the surreal, such as me being tired enough to consider that I might be able to pick up a full-scale sun umbrella to use as a garnish for my normal-sized drink. Yeah, you heard that correctly. That's not to say that I didn't think the puzzles were clever. It all makes a perverse sort of sense when I look back on it, and did a bit of research to try and figure it out a bit more, like the ear puzzle. But the dream logic you end up needing to lean on certainly contributed to the amount of times I found myself baffled over the course of my playthrough. Enough so that I was altogether grateful that amongst the game's accessibility options, including support for individuals who may have hearing impairments, there's hints. Blessed, sweet hints. And much to the game's credit, I was never hampered in a mechanical sense, as the objects I did need to interact with were fairly apparent, and helpfully highlighted by a word when I scrolled over top them. Hell, sometimes even rewarding to fail to find the correct answer to a puzzle if only because there were fun bits of dialogue to accompany the event. Now, on the graphic side of things, I wasn't really sure what I was expecting when I first heard of the Dream Machine, but it wasn't the creepy and well-crafted cardboard and claymation world which was presented to me. It provides a distinct visual presentation that still sticks out to me, and some of the creepy bits of imagery are stuck in my mind days after stepping away from the game. The soundtrack further accentuates this with an excellent range of tunes which manage to elicit almost dreamy vibes, while others lend themselves more to a sense of the uncanny or evoke a distinct feeling of menace. Which brings me to the finale of this review, and, well, I dug it. As a whole, The Dream Machine is a decent adventure game. On the narrative front, it provided a story that I could never quite predict the outcome of, and some absolutely fantastic segments to explore. Yes, there were chunks that made me a little bit squeamish, but even then, it didn't feel like it was just there for shock value or came out of nowhere. And the game's aesthetic certainly does it justice, only further driving home the otherworldliness of its content. Whilst I may have occasionally chafed at the puzzles that I came across, if only because of the odd dreamy logic I was confronted with, I do think that the Dream Machine does make for a solid hit, and one well worth venturing into if you're a fan of point-and-click adventures. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. If you agree, disagree, or just have something to say to me, feel free to comment. And for those interested in more indie reviews, developer interviews, podcasts, or Monday TTRPG content, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know when there's a new release. There's also a Discord. You can click the link in the banner or description so you can be part of our community, the Crit Hit Cauldron. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a coffee running now to help supplement funds for a lovely editor and to make sure we can continue to provide quality content. Again, check the description and the banner for them links. That said, I'll catch you on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then, folks.